Welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast, where the legal industry gets real. I'm your host, Etta Rosa, legal consultant, speaker, and founder of Etta Rosa LLC and the Limitless Paralegal Academy. This isn't your stuffy legal studies school lecture. We're talking mindset, money, modern workflows, and how to build a career and a life you don't need a vacation from. Let's cut the fluff, raise the bar, and change the game one conversation at a time. If you like what you hear, feel free to share and send us your feedback. Now let's talk paralegal. Hey guys, welcome back to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast, another bonus episode for you. I'm so glad you're here. This is a show where we keep it real about everything that comes with building a career in the legal world. And today we're talking about something that does not get nearly enough airtime in our industry: your money. Not just your paycheck, but what you actually do with it, your mindset around it, your relationship with it. Because here is the thing: you can work hard your whole career and still feel like you're running in place financially. And that changes today. I've got an incredible guest joining us who's going to break it all down in a way that actually makes sense. No jargon, no judgment, just real talk about building wealth and living the life you're working so hard for. Listen in for more. Welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. I'm your host, Etta, and today we have Ben. We're going to talk about maybe a conversation either you weren't ready for, you didn't know you needed, and why, how, all the things in between. We're going to talk about wealth management. And I know this is going to be a little weird for you guys because we probably have not introduced this on the podcast, but I feel like it was a really important topic to bring on, especially now it's the beginning of the year. Everybody's prepping, everybody's planning, everybody's on goal mode. Whether or not those get accomplished at the end of the year, we won't talk about that right now. But in the meantime, let's get our hopes up and let's talk to Ben. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, tell us a little bit about you and kind of what got you into this.
Yeah, for sure. Ben Hockema, founder of Illuminate Wealth Management. So, I worked for 15 years at another independent firm. We'll talk about what that even means here in a little bit. But worked for 15 years, was a minority partner, and then January 1st, 2020, left and started right before COVID. Started my own business, and really a big focus on that was about trying to really meet people where they are and have something that's not just about how do we build wealth and get more money, but how do we make this work for your life? And that's what we try to do for all of our clients. We have clients all over the country. My team, it's a virtual team, so we're all over. We have clients in I think 18 states and work with a lot of people. So how I first got started, I went to college, thought I was going to be a doctor, and then my dad's an oral surgeon, and I'm a lot like him, so I wanted to follow. And then I went to the operating room with him once and saw him break someone's jaw and said, "I'm out. I want nothing to do with this at all." And so I asked him, "Hey, if you were not going in medicine, what would you do?" And he said, "Personal finance. Why don't you meet my guy?" And we talked about it. And I didn't know anything and just kind of fell into a great spot and learned on the job, if you will. So
I,
now
I love that.
yeah. So now we work with clients, a lot of business owners, but also a lot of just individuals that are, getting the W-2 and getting paid and just how do we make this work for you?
Yeah, I love how you focus on what it actually helps you, how it works for your life. I recently had a conversation with an attorney that does estate planning, and he introduced kind of the same concept, right? About how it can work for you. Like we often just we're used to like checking the box, right? We're clicking here, we're answering the questionnaires, we're doing the checklist, and then we get lost in translation as to, well, wait, what am I actually want? Like, what do I actually want this to look like? What are those goals? And how can I make that a real reality versus just like, let me dream about it, hope and pray that I get it, kind of deal. So that was a very interesting story. You went from med school to like, nope, I'm good. Let's go
That's
to
right.
financing. Let's see how the money works, which I teach my kids this. I have a 9 and a 7-year-old, soon to be 10 and 8. And so I teach them a lot about how money works because I never personally got taught how, follow the money, right? And so understanding what money is and how money needs to be in movement in order for it to grow, like all these things that I never learned that I'm obviously learning at a different level right now because I own a business, right? It's very different when you own a business versus when you are a W-2 quote unquote traditional employer or employee. And so talk about that. Let's talk about the differences about the business and a W-2 and kind of navigate what actual wealth management is, right? Because a lot of people are
For
just like,
sure.
this is a big topic. So let's kind of like condense it in.
So if you could let me pivot a little bit, we'll answer that question. But you said something there that I think is really I want to hone in on a little bit. So I have a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and then a 6-month-old. So, but right there with you, and we talk about money too. And one concept, I don't use these terms with my kids, but when we have a new client that comes in, we have two kind of questions we talk about. And so I'll just quickly go through them because I think it's relevant for the whole conversation. It's all
Yeah.
about dreaming for where you are. So the first one is kind of the dreaming question. I always say, if you woke up tomorrow and you had $1 billion, tell me what would be the same in your life, what would be different. And let's just talk through that. What's it look like today? What's it look like a year from now? What's it look like 10 years from now? And let me just hear all the things that is going to change when money is off the table, when money's not the limiting factor. Let's talk about that. And I think that's a useful concept, especially if you have a partner or a spouse or some, just to talk through together and say, what if we could, what's possible out there? Uh, Now, you always have to throw the money back in, and that's a limiting factor, but it can help you identify the things that are really important to you and what you want to be
Mm,
doing differently.
I love that.
And then the second piece that I think is super relevant as you talk about, maybe you weren't taught about money and didn't have the same education going in. And I think that's actually pretty common for a lot of people. We have no control over how we were taught about money. And some people are really good at it and some are not. And we don't actually know in advance. Everyone thinks they're good at money because you deal with it every day. But it's just like driving. We're not all above average drivers, right? So I think it's helpful to also have the discussion to think about money can be one of three things as we view it. So one, having money or trying to build wealth is about providing security. That the focus is I want to feel safe. I want to have some security here. I want to provide for my family, whatever that is. The second kind of, and it's a spectrum. The second one is money is an opportunity. By having money, I can now do X, whatever that is. I can pursue this other stuff. And then the third that some people fall into, especially as I found, if maybe they had money and then lost it, is a vulnerability, which is I have money and now people are going to try to take advantage of me. And
Mm,
again, your relationship with money, of which of those, is it security, is it opportunity, is it vulnerability, all of those factor into the way you deal with it every single day and the way you plan for today and you plan for the future. And so all of what I'm talking about here is, I think, the first steps toward wealth management, because we need to know the game we're playing. We need to know
mm.
what the rules are and how you approach it. And I try to have those conversations with my kids. They still need a little bit of time, but I think it's
Especially
helpful
the
for
6 month
everybody.
year old.
6-month old, she wants to eat more, right? So
I love that. That's so cute. That's the best age ever. But let's not digress.
I know, right?
So when you went, and I love that. I wrote some of it down, but I'm glad that AI is taking notes for us because I missed half of it because I like to listen to you guys and be present as possible. But I also like to learn in the process
Mhm.
because we all are lifelong learners, which is what the podcast is all about. So I love that you start with your clients with real conversations because that's literally what the podcast is about. And you're also making them think. In our what I call the Edda universe, what we
Mhm.
talk about a lot is reflection, right? How to reflect on things, how to look again, how to think again, how to really see what is happening. And I think this is relevant because we're in the month of February. It's Black History Month. And my daughter just came home with a project, and she has to do a project for Black History Month and this and that. And so she picks two people. One, I don't really know who they are, never really learned about them, but the other one is Viola, the actress. And
Mhm.
so I love her. She's one of my
Mhm.
favorites. And so like she's telling me about this and she's telling me everything she's learning about, it's a whole research thing and she has to do like a poster board, like the whole nine yards, right? And so I'm like, all right, great. And then it's funny because we often, even though we kind of like push everything aside, we're like, oh, we've been there, done that, I've done it. I know who Martin Luther King is, Malcolm X
Hmm.
and Rosa
Yep.
Parks, and but it's like then all of a sudden I stopped and I paused and I said, "Wow, I didn't know that. Oh wow, that's wow, oh, really? That happened?" And I was like, "Oh, what part?" And so it reminds me of a page in the book of Adam Grant's Think Again, which we use a
Hmm.
lot in our platform. And he talks about this history teacher. And as you all know, I'm a professor, so I'm very into, new ways of teaching. And she buys history books from different eras. So she has
Mm.
like a history book from 1940, 1950, 1960, so on and so forth. And you realize the discrepancies that there are in the updates, quote
Hmm.
unquote, and the eliminations on some omissions, misinterpretations, and everything else. And it's really interesting because she hands a book to different students. And one of them, she actually changed all the male
Mm.
roles that there were in history to females.
Okay.
And so the one of the male students was like, "Oh wait, well, what happened to all the guys? It looks like they weren't that important." And so it was really cool to see different perspective, which is really what wealth management is about. And I'm telling you guys a story because I feel like these stories kind of will connect the
Hmm.
dots for you when we talk about a topic like this. So let's talk about wealth management and how it can actually because a lot of people are scared, right?
Right.
It's just like estate planning, right? Everybody's scared of they either have a fear of death or have no fear, which God bless. So go for it.
Yep. Yep.
But money is a very taboo thing, right? Growing up,
Right.
no politics, no religion, no money, right? Those are the
Right.
three things that we don't talk about. And so, but we need to. So we're going to talk about it. And you're on this podcast. So let's talk about wealth management and really what does that mean? What is
Right.
wealth management?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna just kind of paint the picture. When you hear wealth management, it could mean, in my opinion, one of three things, and then we're gonna focus on the third one because that's what I think it really means. But I think it's important to also just translate. When you hear it, it could mean different things. So number one, and part of this is the history. Wealth management could just be an insurance agent selling you something, and unfortunately, that is a lot of the history of the services industry, financial services industry is we're just going to sell you products you may or may not need, and they have great pitches on how they do it. And but that's one group. Another group is just wealth management. You think of a stockbroker or investment management, and although that is a piece of what I think true wealth management includes, it's just a piece, and there's a lot more that goes into it. So when I think of wealth management and the way that we approach it is everything money remotely touches all together and having it be a cohesive plan that moves forward towards what you care about. And that's really how wealth management should be. So that is, you mentioned estate planning, sure, that's a part of it. And also insurance does matter. I mean, what do you have for life insurance or what do you have for auto insurance? Those matter. That's a part of managing your wealth, risk management. It's
Right.
investments, it's saving, it's cash flow, it's tax management, it's all the different areas that money is remotely related to, all working together in concert. And that's what true wealth management is and should be. So it starts in my mind with cash flow because cash is king. Cash allows you to do all those other things. You can't pay for insurance if you don't have cash. You can't pay an attorney to do something if you don't have cash. You have to have a positive cash flow. So a lot that we work with on the business owners and just individuals, it starts with that cash.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And obviously that is a very pivotal I guess gear, right? Like you need that. It's like the
Mm.
gas to the car or the battery, whatever.
Mm.
Like I can't even say gas anymore. I'm like the
I know.
battery. Poor Tulsas are they're like they are like stalled here in Florida for some
Yeah,
because it's so cold. They're like they have
right.
no they're like the lizards. They have no idea where to go
They don't
now.
know how to survive. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know how to survive. But so I love how you explained that and broke it down because I feel like that's a common misconception, right? It's a either or situation or it's a little piece of the puzzle and nobody really sells you the full package. Nobody really paints that picture for you. And so somebody comes to you, they tell you an idea or they tell you kind of what they do, and of course they want to sell you on that, right? But then
Right.
it's like, no, there's so many other pieces to the puzzle that you need to kind of be cohesive and coherent. So why should we even care? Why don't we just live paycheck to paycheck for the rest of our life and hope and pray we can afford that car that we want, or that
Right.
vacation that we want, or the college tuition for our future kids, or whatever it is? Hey, legal pros, are you ready to stop playing small? The Limitless Paralegal Academy is officially open, offering powerhouse courses, real world tools, and expert led training to help you build the career and life you actually want. We're not stopping there. The Limitless Paralegal Tour is hitting the road. We're bringing the mindset shifts, career strategies, and community straight to your city with epic speakers, actionable sessions, and zero boring PowerPoints. This isn't your average CLE. This is your legal career reimagined. Join the Academy, meet us on tour, become the legal pro everyone remembers. Visit limitlessparalegalacademy.com to enroll and grab your ticket now. Be bold, be brilliant, but most importantly, be limitless.
Right. That is the approach a lot of people take, and unfortunately, there's just a lot of people all over the world and in the United States that there is no alternative. That's the way it is. And so, if you though are in the privileged group, and it doesn't, I'm not gonna put numbers on it, but you're able to actually eke out a little bit of savings or have some cash flow if you're on top of it. The value is honestly is reducing stress. That's the number one piece. Money is one of the top reasons people get divorced is because they don't agree on money. And it is a stressor. I'm sure we all have had stages of life, regardless of where you are, where you've worried about money. And that is very hard to deal with. It's also hard to be intentional and to focus on the long term if you're worried about how am I going to put food on the table tomorrow. And so if we can plan ahead and we can save and put things in the right place and protect you, on the back end with other stuff, that's going to free up your life to again pursue the life that you ultimately want.
No, I love that. And honestly, it's so funny because I don't Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys a story. Maybe you'll laugh, maybe you'll cry, maybe you'll do both. But my husband and I, we went to, I don't know if you've heard of them, Aspire. It's like this big, like huge convention. They do it, I think, all throughout the year. I'm not quite sure, but one of their stops is always Fort Lauderdale. So we try to go as much as possible, mostly because I want to go see like the Adam Grants of the world, and I want to
Right.
go see my Cody Sanchez speak because I love them. And so most of the time they're there, and I like Gary V, and all these people are
Oh
there
yeah.
speaking. So I like to go to see the people that I read, their books on and follow and everything in person and possibly get an autograph on their book. And so I go for that. And so I believe it was about 2 years ago, we actually signed up for one of their workshops, and they started teaching us about all these different terminologies and this and that. And here I'm thinking, I was like, oh, I mean, I know about money. Like, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Like, everything's set. Like, we're able to do what we want to do. Like, and then all of a sudden I started learning more and more. And I was like, oh, wow, but we can do this with that. And then we can do that and
Mhm.
have our money grow here and transfer it there and have a tax break there. And so I started learning a little more. So even though the whole point of my story is, yes, I cried a little because I was like, damn, I should have done this a lot earlier because we would
Yep.
have been making a lot more money, is make the money work for you, not work for your money, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of people are either complacent, don't know any, like don't see another
Hmm.
avenue, and they just say, I'm just going to work
Right.
physically, put my hours in, get a paycheck at the end of the 2 weeks, month, whatever, weekly, whatever it is, and then just pay taxes at the end of the year. And you could do that. There's
Hmm.
no issues with that. But what are you doing with that money? Where does every single, if you don't know where every single penny that you're actually
Hmm.
making, especially if you're providing your time, if you don't know
Hmm.
where that's going, then you don't know what return on investment is. And so the thing is that sometimes we either overvalue or undervalue our time. And by
Hmm.
overvalue, I will tell you, I had this manager that made too much money. And because they were not doing a third of what they were supposed to be doing, and they had their staff doing most of the stuff that they were supposed to be doing on top of what the staff member was supposed to do. And then one day, I called them out nicely, like I always do, because I always put a smile on my face when I'm on my B mode.
Yep.
And I go in the middle of the meeting. I didn't want to embarrass them, so I didn't do it. In the middle of the meeting, they made a comment, and I was like, I mean, that's what you're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be running reports. That's quite literally your job. So, anyways, I go in, I write it down, and I quote them and everything. And then after the meeting, I go, hey, listen, can I get a little one-on-one with you? And they're like, absolutely, go for it. And so, very confident, very arrogant, egotistical, typical. And so I go there and I was like, by the way, in the middle of the meeting, you stated, and I quoted
Hmm.
them. And I was like, what exactly did you mean by that? And they're like, well, you go here, you go there, and literally telling me what I need to do. And I was like, hold up. So I'm supposed to use your credentials to run your report so that you can submit it to upper management. And then they looked at me because I guess they didn't see it that way. Like delegate, there's one thing about delegation, it's another about actually doing your job, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I was like, hold up, wait a minute. There's something wrong with this scenario. And so sometimes, all that is to say is sometimes either they don't realize what's happening, which is a lot of us, right? Sometimes we're
Right.
just doing it to do it, afraid that they're going to get fired, this, that, or overwhelmed, whatever. There's a million reasons, but I like to call those obstacles and excuses. And so I learned this little trick, and I'm going to tell you guys because this is like the point of the episode where we like to give you little takeaways. And my little takeaway for you in this episode is I want you to remove those obstacles and remove these excuses because we often wake up every single day with a million excuses. Why was I late? Well, probably because I stayed up all night watching the Grammys and I wanted that extra hour of sleep. But now my kids are going to be late too. And then I'm going to be late to my, client meeting and this. And then my whole day is just going to be a mess. Well, is that really why I'm late, or is it because I just chose to, sleep that hour?
Right.
Like, honestly, you got to dig into the reasoning as to what's really happening in your life. And if you don't know where your money's going, you don't know the money flow, then you don't know where it goes, right?
Hmm.
So that's really important. And that's something that you guys need to say. And I'm the biggest hypocrite because I don't really like talking about it either. My husband
Yep.
constantly puts it in my face. And I know the importance of it. And I know we should be having budget meetings a lot often than we do.
Yep.
And, the good thing is he's really good at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're right. These conversations need to be had more often and everything else. And again, excuses, excuses. So, guys, I'm definitely the biggest hypocrite example A right here. But, Ben, do you have any takeaways or anything that you can tell the audience to kind of really get into the right track, right? We got to kind of
For
like
sure.
remove ourselves from the funk. So,
Yes. So I agree with everything that you said. I'm going to add something that sounds like I'm disagreeing, but I'm not. It's just adding to it, which is um, all, I 100% agree that we need to get out of our own way and make sure that you are not just making excuses and you're really getting to the root of the problem. One thing that I see that shows up a lot is shame. There's a lot of shame around money, and
mm,
shame can be that excuse. It can be the obstacle that's stopping you from doing it. And so, as you're thinking about this, I guess my takeaway would be don't fall into that shame spiral though, because we all have things that we've done that we regret or wish we would have done differently when it comes to money and probably everything else in life. And so it's just part of moving forward is we have to move forward. And so it doesn't really matter what you did in 2025 for your money. It matters what you're going to do now as
yeah,
we're moving forward. So, and then just from a purely practical application, if you're starting out and saying, I need to generate, I need to have that positive cash flow so I can do all these other things. I love starting with the 50/30/20. So the 50/30/20 rule is saying, and this is really for personal finance, 50% is the most, 50% of your take home pay, what you actually get, what doesn't matter if you're a business owner or a W-2 or anything else, 50% after tax that comes in should be going at most to fixed expenses. So housing and car payments and things that you have no control over. Anything above 50 is where most of the stress comes in. If
mm,
you have 70%, you have no choice on what to do. That's a big number. Then the 30 is if you're hitting the 50, 30% is the maximum for variable expenses. I include food in there because you can have a ramen diet or you can go to really nice fine dining restaurants. There's a big range in there. And so that's 30% is the max, which really gives you 80%. So you can spend 80% of what you take home, and you should be trying to build wealth, either paying down debt or saving for college or saving for retirement or just having an emergency fund out of that 20%. Now, that's really hard to get to. You don't have to do it overnight, but just tracking those three numbers can help you know, am I going the right way or not?
Yeah, I love that. And there's plenty of tools out there that you guys can
For
use
sure.
for these. I'm not going to suggest any of them because I don't get paid for it. But you can always use good old Google, ChatGPT, or call Ben.
There you go. Perfect.
Great resource. Anyway, thank you, Ben, for being on the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. Until next time, until justice is served, we'll be here. Bye. Before you go, the Limitless Paralegal Tour is coming to a city near you. We have 3 stops: Fort Lauderdale, Phoenix, and Chapel Hill. Speakers that have actually reached Limitless Paralegal status are going to teach you everything that they know. You get a journal, pen, food, networking, all for $149. And each event is capped out at 100 people, so seats go fast. Link is in the show notes. Grab your seat at limitlessparalegalacademy.com/tours. See you there.